bet Winnie Mandela had no idea that she was soon to be the most influential woman in South Africa. Her and her ex-husband will go down as the most powerful couple in South Africa due to their fight for the rights of the people. Winnie Mandela not only showed courage, but also perseverance in being a woman fighting for the rights of South Africans. She was born September 26, 1936 in the village of Bazana in the Transkei. Her father was the minister of the Transkei government's forestry and agriculture during the Kaiser Montezuma rule. Her mother, who was a school teacher, died when she was only 8 years old. Winnie seemed to excel faster than other students in education and showed strong interest in leadership. She spent her primary school years in Bazana and after attended Shawbury High School. Following graduating, Winnie was admitted to the Jane Hoffenmeyer School of Social Work in Johannesburg. After completing her degree in social work around 1955, she received a scholarship giving her the opportunity to extend her studies in the USA. Unlike most who would have taken this chance, Winnie was seeking a new and challenging job. She took on the job as the first black medical social worker at the hospital in Johannesburg. Looking forward to making a difference for her people, she became more interested in politics. In the mid-1950s, she became the member of the African National Congress. The ANC is a South African governing party that was created to fight for the rights of black South Africans. It was here in 1957 that she met her soon-to-be husband Nelson Mandela, who was the leader of the ANC. The goal was to stop the South African apartheid, which entitled racial segregation. Around this time, Nelson Mandela was placed on trial with 155 other people for treason. Winnie was only 22 and at a bus stop in Soweto when they first met. The two got married in June 1958 in the Transkei, even though her father didn't agree due to age difference. In between the trial, Winnie gave birth to 2 daughters, and in 1961, all of the accused were found not guilty. Following the trial, Winnie was able to live the normal life of a great mother and great wife. However, this didn't last due to the fact that Nelson Mandela was periodically arrested for participating in political events to end the apartheid. This led Winnie and their 2 daughters to be targeted by government officials. Eventually, after being arrested multiple times, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison, leaving Winnie to raise the girls. Not only did she continue to raise the kids by herself, but she also kept up the efforts to end the apartheid. She was working so hard with the ANC, she decided to send her 2 daughters to a boarding school in Swaziland to ensure that they had a tranquil upbringing. Starting her new life as a single mother and a ferocious activist, she was watched heavily by government officials. This prevented her from having friends, working a job, and also living. Soon she was arrested under the Suppression of Terrorism Act and was sentenced to more than a year. She spent her sentence in solitary confinement where she was tortured ruthlessly. After her release in 1970, Winnie was placed under house arrest. Then again, in 1976, the Soweto uprising that left hundreds of students dead, she was also forced by the government to move to the border town of Brandfort and was again placed on house arrest. After her house was firebombed in 1985, she returned to Soweto to continue her ANC activities. Her relentless activist efforts earned her the name Mother of the Nation. In addition, Winnie was now hiring attackers to beat up citizens who participated in apartheid activities. In fact, in her speech in Johannesburg around 1986, she brought forth the idea of killing apartheid participants by putting a tie around their neck and then setting them on fire. Her idea of violence prompted some anti-apartheid groups to slowly distance themselves. Winnie stood by Nelson Mandela's side long enough to see him released on February 11, 1990, after 27 years of being held captive. However, those long years had diminished the marriage and the couple separated in 1992. Before the divorce was final, Winnie was convicted of kidnapping and insulting a 14-year-old boy who was later killed. Luckily, after an appeal, the 6-year sentence was reduced to a fine. Soon after, Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first black president. And it didn't take Winnie long to be elected for a couple offices. That following year, she was elected Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture, Science, and Technology. This term was short-lived because Nelson Mandela himself fired her for allegations of mismanagement of finances. After this, in 1996, the couple finalized their divorce from one another. Shortly after the divorce, Winnie turned the Orlando home she shared with Nelson into a museum. Then in 1997, she was given another term as the president of the ANC Women's League. This same year, Winnie was found guilty for a violation of human rights in regards to the killings and tortures carried out by her bodyguards. Later on in 2001, she was charged with 43 counts of fraud and 25 of theft. She was allegedly taking loan applicants' money from a funeral fund. The court found her guilty on these counts and sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, like the time before, she appealed and the Supreme Court dismissed the conviction for theft but still charged her with fraud, which knocked her sentence down to 3 years. Following the conviction, she quickly resigned as the president of the ANC Women's League in 2003. Although it seems her convictions have overshadowed her accomplishments, she is still viewed as an important factor in ending South Africa's oppressive policies. Despite her divorce from Nelson Mandela, they remained close friends until his death in 2013. The quilt constructed to honor Miss Mandela was made by Elizabeth Rode Esch. The machine-stitched cotton fabric has the blue triangle on the outer edge with the legend. It also states Winnie Mandela, South Africa, Soweto, where she first met Nelson Mandela. The peace symbol, executed in the middle, is covered with glass seeds beads. The peace symbol is the most important part, and the artist did a great job of commemorating Winnie Mandela. The peace symbol sticks out so much because it represents the peace in South Africa and what they fought for the rights of South Africans.